Just before we get started with today's video, this is all to promote what's going on right now over the next few days. It is the rest of the voting days for the Football Content Awards. Let's get there. So there's ways you can vote. You can vote via the website. I've left the link to the Football Content Awards in the description of this video, so please go and check it out. The nominations close until midnight on Sunday the 4th September. You can also vote via Instagram. Simply head over to the Football Content Awards Instagram page, click on the relevant category image and tag the Instagram account of the chosen winner in the comments. You only have one vote per category. You can also vote on Twitter using the below tweet template. I am voting for @the nominees Twitter account, in @the FCAs for, and then hashtag the category. So in terms of the categories, I would love to win Best Club Content Creator for the Football League, Best New Content Creator, Best Content Creator and Best Influencer. It would be really great to be involved in any, or nominated in any of those categories this year, or potentially win those categories this year. So please do go and vote in the Football Content Awards this year. And now let's zoom into the video. Ladies and gentlemen, I am the CHALL, your Rovers fan and your sporting journalist on YouTube and social media. This is another Matchday Launch Show. We're back in the shows. It's the day after deadline day. I should say the hangover after deadline day. You'll see in the couple of transfer videos we put up earlier this evening. You've waited a while now, but here it is, the Matchday Launch Show, and here is what's coming up on this week's show. I'm going to be taking a look at the history of the opponents this weekend, Mansfield Town. I'm going to be sharing the thoughts and player ratings on the Newcastle Under-21s Papa John's Trophy match. I'm going to be having a little dive into the Mansfield's lineup prediction and who I think could be starting in the game. And also, I'm going to give you my scoreline prediction. This match could be, I'd say, about as heartwarming and actually thrill-pumping as transfer deadline day. All that and much more is coming up on the show. Now, of course, deadline day has been and gone. We do have a separate video on that, which is already up on the channel, so do stay tuned for that one. But we're going to be talking specifically to start off with about the Newcastle United Under-21s match and the Papa John's Trophy. Of course, it finished 0-0 with a 4-2 win on penalties. So, of course, in the Papa John's Trophy, if it ends a draw at 90 minutes, you get a point each, and then the winner of the penalty shootout gets an extra point. And, of course, we got that extra point. So, in terms of the performance in the 90 minutes, I felt like it felt very scrappy at times. Definitely in the first half, and definitely moments in the second half as well. It really felt like we had a real very scrappy game. It felt very end-to-end at times as well. It felt like we tried to create something in the first half, and to be fair, for most of the first half, it felt like we were creating more chances to go forward, but they weren't turning into anything. Newcastle had the better chances, but didn't have as many as we did. So it was kind of like opposites attract in the first half when it comes to the attacking qualities. In the second half, we brought a bit more quality on, and it looked better from our end. But again, Newcastle came close on a couple of occasions and we just didn't look our best, which is understandable because we haven't got our first team out there. We've only got our second team out there with a couple of academy lads. So it was always going to be a bit more of a setback performance compared to the senior squad. But we kept a clean sheet thanks to Lewis Jones. Now, obviously it is just one game, but if Lewis Jones performs like that for the games that he features in this season, I'm going to be very happy, because apart from that mistake at the start of the sort of towards the start of the match, where we all know, but if you need context, basically Lewis Jones kicked it, it bounced off Bobby Fultoner's back or heel or something like that, and it bounced and it actually came off the post. It was so close to rolling back in. It was such a comical mistake. Total lack of miscommunication between the two. Bobby Faulkner didn't really know much about it, to be honest, so I'd put most of the fault on Lewis Jones for not recognising the defender in front of him. But set that aside, from then on, it was save, save, save. And it's clear to see that, and again, the good thing about Lewis Jones is it was a very vocal performance. I noticed a lot of talking, and I was sat in the press box. I was sat on the west side, so I was right near the dugouts, right near the players. I could hear McSheffrey saying press, press, press. Lewis Jones, for me, was so vocal in that match. He was telling them where to go, was positioning, his distribution was quick out the back. It's clear to see he's been working with Ian Bennett on a load of different things compared to last season. So, for me, I think he's working very, very well with Ian Bennett. And, it's great to see that relationship building between Ian Bennett and the goalkeepers. Overall, I would say that the team did slightly better than Newcastle, but Newcastle didn't look amazing either. But we take the 2 points from it. We take 2 points out of a possible 3 with the 1 point and then the extra point for winning the penalties. And yeah, overall, I think we did a good job. But let's get into the player ratings for this particular match. So in goal, Lewis Jones, I'm going to give him an 8. Like I said, very vocal, save after the little mistake that could have led to something at the start of the first half. But overall, after that, it was unstoppable in net. Back four, Maxwell, Long, Faulkner and Seaman. I was surprised that Faulkner played, I won't lie. But I think he'll play on Saturday anyway. I'm going to give all the back four 7s. I think all of them had some comfortable performances. Seaman especially did quite well. So I think overall, I think it was a solid showing by the back four. In the midfield, Ravenhill, DeGrucci, and I've got obviously it was Agard at Cam in the 4-2-3-1. All 3 of them get 6s. I think Agard didn't really look amazing in that position. But to be fair, it's not his #1 position at all. It really felt like Agar wasn't really sort of a second striker or attacking midfielder type role. So, and to be fair, it felt like sometimes that Taylor was being put into the number 10, and then obviously Agar was in the number 10 at times. And I don't know, it just felt like a complete interchange between the two players at times. But all 3 get 6s. Again, not amazing, not really fluent enough, but just okay. And then Kulea, Taylor and Jack Goodman from the Youth Academy, the under-18s. Goodman and Kulea get 6s, and I've given John Taylor a 7. And the reason why I've done that is because I think Goodman, he shows some good qualities as a forward, but still needs a hell of a lot of work. But he is in the under-18s. He's still got a lot of time, and hopefully he can come good as a nice new homegrown talent. Kulea, again, good technical ability. Overall, had an okay showing. Taylor 7. I think Taylor did really well when he in this game, in this particular match before he came off. For me, I think Taylor just showed that little bit of something with that energy coming in. So, for me, I feel like he definitely showed some good stuff from off the into the starting lineup. Next up, the substitutes: Molyneux, Hurst, Rapa and Whiting. All of them get 7s from me. All of them came off the bench and put in a great showing. Hurst and Molyneux, as soon as they went on, you could see the difference in quality. Rapa had a decent showing. He could be a really, really good future star here. And Jack Whiting as well, I think he came off the bench and did really well as well. Now McSheffrey, I'm going to give him a 7. Obviously it wasn't the first team, it was like a second string team with a couple of academy lads and a few on the bench as well. We didn't get the, McSheffrey's telling them to press. I didn't see much of that in the first half. Second half I saw more of that, but we still didn't get the goal, but we did do well on penalties, which is a 50-50 chance game anyway. So I think McSheffrey giving a 7 is a fair rating. And the fans, I mean, the most I can give them is 7, purely because of the fact that it wasn't a massive game and there wasn't a lot of people there, only one stand open. So but the fans tried their best. From what I could see from the opposite side, the fans tried their best. So 7 out of 10 for me with the fans. But let's get into looking ahead to our next opponent, and that is of course Mansfield Town. And here is a little bit of history. Much has been written of the formation of Mansfield Town Football Club, and many dates have been given. However, most are apocritical, or at very least wildly inaccurate. Although organised football existed for many years in Mansfield before this, the origins of the present club can be traced back to 1897 and the Westland Church on Bridge Street. The exact meeting where the seed was sown is now lost in the midst of time, and as such no exact date can be given for the formation. However, a team formed by Frederick Abraham and Thomas Cripwell called Mansfield Wesleyans eventually became the Mansfield Town they all know and love at the club. After the formation in those early days, no league was entered. The team played only friendly matches plus the odd local cup tie. The team played in a light blue and chocolate striped kit and played almost exclusively on the ground on Westfield Lane. The first match was played at the ground on 4th of September 1897 against Sherwood Foresters and ended in a 2-2 draw. Unfortunately, no details survive of the 11 that turned out that day, but we do know that the Foresters' Statham scored an own goal and Taylor found the other for Mansfield. By the start of 1902-1903, the club had decided to enter the Mansfield and District Amateur League. And on the 6th of September 1902, played its first ever league game, a 1-0 defeat at the home of Mansfield Corinthians. The team for this auspicious occasion was Hodgkins, Sid Benton, Sadler, Hibbert, Trenham, Osborne, Martin, Tattersall, Wilson, Gunthorpe and Abraham. Of this side, Walter Tattersall later went on to play for Tottenham Hotspur and Watford. A week later, the team's second fixture, also away from home, was a disastrous 13-0 drubbing at Shirebrook Swifts. There was some progress made in following seasons when a very respectable third placing in the league was achieved. Could have been better, but the club had 2 points deducted for fielding an unregistered player. With those 2 points, the Wesleyans would have been runners-up. For this season, the club moved to play home games at the Newgate Lane ground. There was a dip in fortune the following season with a drop to 5th place in the league, but by 1905-06, the club were back into 3rd spot. Now, in terms of a milestone for the club, they entered the FA Cup for the first time. They played in the 6 matches before being eliminated by local rivals Mansfield Mechanics in the second qualifying round replay. The summer of 1910 saw another important change where at the AGM it was proposed the club changed name to either Mansfield Town or Mansfield United. It was thought this benefited the image they were trying to project as a major club in the town. It was put to a vote and Mansfield Town was accepted as the new name. Now, of course, the club has a massive bit of history, and none more than the current ground, Field Mill. Mansfield Town's Field Mill ground, now known as the One Call Stadium, is the oldest professional football ground in the world. Field Mill had been used as a football ground since 1861 and as a cricket ground a few years before that. The Sandygate Road ground in Sheffield, which was the first used in 1860, is the oldest football ground in the world. It's currently used by Hallam FC. Bramall Lane, the current home of Sheffield United, was first used as a football ground in 1862, though like Field Mill, was used as a cricket ground for a few years before that. One Call Stadium is therefore technically the oldest football ground in the world that hosts professional football. It's also the oldest football ground in the Football League. It staged the first competitive match to be played under artificial light in this country when the North Notts League Senior Cup final was played under floodlights in 1930. National exposure for the stadium was gained in 1998, with the first match being played with a new yellow fluorescent ball taking place. The first football team to be formed in Mansfield was the Greenhalghs 11, founded in 1861, for the employees at Herbert Greenhalgh's cotton doubling business, which was based at Field Mill. The Field Mill itself was a 5-storey building between Quarry Lane and Portland Street. The building was badly damaged by fire in 1904 and lay derelict until demolishment in 1925. The mill pond, sighting for the water wheel at 40 feet in diameter, believed to be the biggest in Britain, and the mill manager's home, which became the early pub doors and an Indian restaurant, still survive to this day. Now, obviously, Field Mill has had a fantastic bit of history, with the old North Stand, which was terraced with a roof by much loved fans and built in 1957, funded by the Supporters Club. The stand came with a clock, and the board surrounding the clock said MTFC North Stand 1957, presented by the Supporters Club. Now, of course, from 1861, when the ground was basically filled with a cricket pavilion, the mill fill has been used for football and has certainly, since Mansfield Town took up the residence after the Great War, been developed into a modern stadium for years to come. Fast forward to the summer of 1990 and Jeff Hall was appointed the club's first managerial director. He was also manager director of Abacus Municipal Limited. Within the space of a week it was rumoured in the local press that Stags were moving to a site in Sutton near the A38, and then plans were released for a revamp of Field Mill, including a hotel, restaurant and leisure complex, along with new floodlights and the reopening of the Bishop Street stand as the Chad Family Stand. Now, obviously, Mansfield Town overall have a fantastic piece of history with the team. Obviously, currently in the modern day, the legendary name of Clough manages the Stags in the field of Nigel Clough, with Chief Executive David Sharp taking up the reins of the football club. Now, the club has had other previous successes, promoted out the 4th Division under the stewardship of Ian Greaves in 1985 to 1986. They won the Football League Trophy in 1986 to 87. They were relegated in 1991 and promoted again in 91-92, only to suffer immediate relegation. They won promotion once again in 01-02, but were relegated to League 2 in 2003 and lost their Football League status with a further relegation in 2008. They spent 5 seasons in the conference until promoted back into the Football League after winning the conference in 2012-2013 following investment from new club owner John Radford at the time. Now, obviously, the club, like I said, is in its heydays at the minute. It's modern proper days, with Nigel Clough taking over as manager in November 2020 in the 2020-2021 season and steered Mansfield to relative safety. Now, 12 games without a win in 21-22 saw Mansfield second bottom of League 2 in late October, but after a subsequent 14-match unbeaten streak from late November to early March, including a club record 11 straight home wins, the Stags finished 7th in League 2, just 3 points shy of the automatic promotion. They beat Northampton 3-1 in the aggregate in the playoff semi-finals. However, in the final just last season, Port Vale secured that emphatic 3-0 win. Will Mansfield go for promotion this season? We'll have to find out. But now let's get into the next section of the show. So it is time for our lineup prediction for Mansfield Town. So starting off with goalkeeper Jonathan Mitchell back in the lineup for the league game. Jones did a good job on Tuesday, but he is obviously not the starting goalkeeper, the number 1 goalkeeper, unless there is an injury. And Mitchell right now is at his best right now. So Mitchell, for me, does not lose his place. In the back 4, I've gone with Maxwell, Faulkner, Williams and Noyle. The back 4, for me, that's the strongest we can go with. We know Andrews and Anderson will be missing from this game among the current absentees. So for me, I feel like it's the best kind of back 4 we can put out in the squad at the minute. In the midfield, I've gone with Rowe Clayton and then Lee Tomlin as the centre attacking midfielder in a 4-2-3-1. So Rowe and Clayton for me as the centre midfielders behind the attacking midfielder. And again, none of these players have not earned the right to lose their place in the side. And finally, as the front 3, I've got Hurst and Molyneux either side of George Miller. And the reason why I've gone with that is because I feel like Max Waltman will be eased into the side after he signed on that deadline day on a season-long loan from Liverpool. And I feel like he'll be eased into the team rather than put straight into the firing line. Even though I hope, fingers crossed, we do get to see some game time from Max. Same with John Taylor. I think he did a decent shift on Tuesday, but I don't think he'll be rushed into starting in the league. I think he'll be easing his way into it, and he'll be one of the bench options as well as Max Waltman. So now let's predict the finale scoreline for Doncaster Rovers against Mansfield Town. So there we are, ladies and gentlemen. That, my friends, is it, basically. That is Doncaster Rovers v Mansfield. Finally then, scoreline prediction. What do I think the game will go with? Well, it seems like momentum's shifting our way because we're still unbeaten. Mansfield have gone through a bit of a struggle. Lucas Aiken's not performing to his best. Injuries around the squad. Seems to be very 50-50 with Mansfield at the moment. But, you know, I'm not going to completely, remove Mansfield from the equation at all, because Mansfield, as we know from the FA Cup last year, they can seriously do some damage with that squad. And we know what happened last year. We know what happened last year in League 2. Struggling start, and then look what happened. They went on an absolute run, and they got into the playoffs. So Mansfield, for me, could still be a danger this season. It could take some time to click again, but I think there could be a real danger this season. So we can't take Mansfield for light. We can't take them for granted at all, despite the struggles so far this season. So for me, I'm still going to go with a win. Don't get me wrong. I think we'll stay unbeaten this tomorrow. I think it will be a 2-1 win. However, I think it'll be harder than some people may think. And that's me giving credit to Mansfield here, because I know they've got the threat there to punish us if we're not careful. We know Gary McSheffrey is going to instill into that squad that it will be a hard task. It's going to be one of our toughest games yet. That's what he said to the squad. He's going to really push that into the squad and really get that mentality into the squad. So it's going to be tough. It is going to be a tough one, but I'm personally very happy with the squad at the minute. I'm happy with the window that we've had as well. As you've seen by the video with the transfer summary. And overall, like I said, I'm really happy. So thank you very much, guys, for watching this episode of the Matchday Launch Show. As you will have noticed, there is no other game predictions from Sky Bet League 2. We are going to be discontinuing the Matchday predictions for the rest of the teams. I do apologise about that. It's just the way we have to process the show now. I think what we're going to do is we may come back to them with maybe 10 games of the season to go, just as we get into the final stretch, or maybe pick out some of the key games in terms of what it means for the table, etc., sort of throughout the shows going forward. But at the minute, we're not going to go through every single match, unfortunately. We are just going to focus on the ones that Donny are playing and have played. So thank you very much, guys, for watching this video. Make sure you do like, comment, subscribe. And for now, I am the CHALL, your Doncaster Rovers fan and your sporting journalist. Keep living the Rovers life, and that is full time.